Good afternoon and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. This afternoon there's breaking news when it comes to goalkeepers. Scott Bane has been released by Celtic. Celtic have paid off Scott Bane. Scott Bane has left the club after a crazy amount of years. Scott Bane has left the club and Celtic have done a deal for the Aberdeen goalkeeper. Yes, they've done a deal for the Aberdeen goalkeeper. The crazy one is Scott Bane. We'll talk about Scott Bane first before we talk about the Aberdeen goalkeeper. He's been at the club an unbelievable amount of years, and I don't know how he lasted so long at the club. I've literally no idea. But Scott Bane has been told that he's free to leave the club. His contract has been cut short. And bye-bye Bane. Bye-bye Bane. Which is absolutely 12 months left to go in his contract. We knew that at the start of the season. So it's interesting that he's been told that he's surplus to requirement, being third choice goalkeeper for so long at Celtic. He can leave the club on a free transfer and head to pastures new. Bye-bye Bane, lol, says Kaiser. Unbelievable when you think about it, how long Bane's been at Celtic and how many trophies he's won. Anyway, when it comes to the big news of the day is, well, we need a third choice goalkeeper and we also need a potential number 2 for the future as we go into the next season with Kasper Schmeichel as number 1. And Kasper Schmeichel has just been called up to the international squad with Denmark, along with one other, Matt O'Reilly, who's no longer at Celtic, but just an interesting piece of news for you. So Kasper has been called up for the international games that's up and coming in just in a couple of weeks' time. But Ross Doohan, you might remember Ross, he came through the system at Celtic. He has agreed personal terms. He's a graduate of the academy, funnily enough. He spent 7 years with Celtic from 2015 to 2022, and then he left the club to go and seek out a career for himself. Ended up at Aberdeen, and he was the number 2. He was the number 2 at Aberdeen. He was on the bench at the weekend. Let's forget about the weekend. We'll just move on. The shortstopper was returned to Celtic after agreeing personal terms, and it was said a month ago, I did have this story a month ago or so, saying that he was under Celtic were looking to bring him back. He's made 18 appearances for Aberdeen last season and he's set to replace Scott Bane, who's in the final year of his contract. Under UEFA regulations, Celtic must name 8 homegrown players in their squad for the Champions League. So we need 8 Scottish players in the squad. Ross Doohan will be one of those 8 players. In addition to that, you must also have 4 players must originate from the club's youth system. But that's Celtic fucked, isn't it? I mean, do we even have 4 players that can step up from the youth system to be named in the Champions League squad? Although Doohan is a graduate of the academy, could that be why Celtic's bringing him back? Because we don't have the academy players also coming through. So is it a double-sided coin that Celtic's just flipped? Is it the perfect combination? Celtic can obviously prove that he was at the academy for all those years and they're bringing him back. It's a double-edged coin, isn't it? Only Celtic would manage to bend the rules when it comes to, I shouldn't have said that, the Huns have gone to meltdown. Fucking Celtic at it again. But anyway, Doohan, Tierney, Calmack, Forrest, yep, that's 4 of them, but we need more. But anyway, so it's good news that Celtic have got the first deal done of the summer. There's also there's a lot of chat going on about the fact that Celtic are trying to sign Jeffrey Sloop. Yep, Celtic want Jeffrey Sloop as backup to Kieran Tierney. Is that the answer? is Jeffrey Sloop the answer to back up to Kieran Tierney? To be fair, if that goal went in at the weekend, everyone would be saying yes. It would be the same clamour of people that said sign up Adam Ida when he scored the goal in the seasons before. 2 seasons ago now. 2 seasons ago, it was cup final. If Jeffrey Sloop had scored in the cup final at the weekend rather than rattling the bar, there'd have been a clamour for everyone saying, yeah, sign him, he's fantastic. Anyway, it's just a bit of breaking news this afternoon. And there's also other news about a player that Celtic have been linked with, an attacking player that's played for Slovan Bratislava for over 206 games. He's scored 70 goals in those 206 games. It's not a lot when you think about it, when you look at the stats for Kyogo Furuhashi and stuff. But could he score more goals for Celtic? Anyway, David Strelick, his agent has spoken. Celtic reportedly offered £7.9 million for Strelick in the January window, but the Slovakian club obviously turned it down because it was far too late in the window for them to get a replacement. Strelick's won 5 league titles with the Slovak his time at Bratislava, and he's earned 28 caps for his country, scoring 3 international goals. His agent has said that it's been purely speculation at this moment. It's purely rumours. There is no concrete offer. There is no concrete offer on the table for the player as yet. So that's going to be an interesting one. It's an interesting one to see if Celtic will progress with that. The fact that Kieran Tierney scored, was it yesterday? I can't even remember. Yeah, it was yesterday. He scored for Arsenal yesterday. Get Strelick at Celtic. It is the name of a rave tune. Do you remember it? Strelick. It was a rave tune a few years back, Kaiser. It was a cracking tune as well. I mean, no, I forget it. I'll get demonetised on the video. But now I'll post it up. It was definitely the name of a rave tune a few years ago. So yeah, Sloop can't jump, says Kaiser. Jeffrey Sloop, decent backup, says Liam Miles. It's not bending the rules, it's known the rules. It says Paul Baird. Yeah, it probably is known the rules, isn't it? And it's interesting that Celtic obviously taking advantage of that, knowing the fact that we need to let Scott Bane go because he's not going to get game time at Celtic. He's at the wrong end of his career, and Celtic have obviously came to an agreement with Scott Bane to pay off the rest of his contract. Sounds like Doohan, Sloop, Tierney and Taylor out. The opening part of the window, yeah, that's pretty much. Taylor will not be signing the contract. If Celtic are in talks with Jeffrey Sloop to sign, I think that'll be a good one. Always plenty of rumours at this time of year, says Paul Baird. It's been a late start to the rumour mill though. But Sloop is a downgrade on Taylor. What a pish deal that would be. Somebody that thinks along the same lines as myself. But anyway, what do you think about the Ross Doohan situation? It's a fantastic piece of business, but it is the Celtic way, and this is my worry. It is the Celtic way, isn't it? We're bringing in two players. The first 2 signings of the window will be players coming in freedom of contract. Fair enough, it's Kieran Tierney. He's a £25 million player. If Arsenal had tried to sign him, sell him a year ago, Celtic were never buying him because of the money that they would want. I still have nightmares of Cluj game, Bane and Bruni. Yeah. Oh God. I hope Celtic get business done early, says Liam Miles. But it is interesting that we're getting this one done. He has the noise is coming out of Aberdeen, saying that he has already agreed personal terms, and he signed the pre-contract agreement with Celtic earlier on this month. At 27-year-old, he also falls into the age bracket that says that Celtic see him as being either a number 2 or potential number 1 in years to come. The fact that he's came through the club and he's done that pre-contract agreement and agreed personal terms. It's a good piece of business, I will admit. Scott Bane leaving the club, Kasper Schmeichel, will Brendan Rodgers. I think going into next season, the big question will be is where else, how many games will Kasper Schmeichel get? Because I feel that young Sinisalo, I mean, Sinisalo's younger than Ross Doohan, but Sinisalo, there's something about him as a striker, something about that guy as a striker, and I think that we're in safe hands. We're in safe hands with him and Ross Doohan in goals. But it's devastating news for some Celtic players, because obviously they'll be told they could leave. Anyway, Celtic are back. Celtic are back in how many days' time? And the ticket situation is just ridiculous. I've got to say this. Where's the fixtures? It's 43 days, not that we're counting. 43 days, 2 hours, 26 minutes and 50 seconds. 43 days and counting until we see Celtic play again. Let's all have a little moment to ourselves and pray that we could see through the next 43 days. Just take a moment to yourself. How are we going to cope? 43 days until Celtic play again. It'll be less than that until the players do come back to pre-season. But who's going to Ireland to the Cork game? And I tell you one thing, I wouldn't, because at €45 a ticket for the South Stand lower, €35 for the South Stand upper, and the East Terrace is €28. They could go and stick that up their jacksie and smoke it, couldn't they? A family of 2 adults and 2 tickets and two children, €115. Which part of friendly does that come under? That's unbelievable. 2 adults and 2 children under 16, €115 to go and watch a friendly. I fucking give up. I do. That's the game's fucked, isn't it? The game's fucked. It is. It's fucking Jesus. A child is €18. A child's €20. Another one. A child's €25 for somebody under 16 to go and watch a friendly. Come on, Celtic. Come on, Cork. Jesus. That's no cricket, is it? It's unbelievable. Law needs a crisis loan. Fuck me. Kasper has been in the hood next season. Sinisalo first choice for me. Yeah, I think it's not too good. Kasper's been good, says Lanky. But next season, Kasper. Kaiser needs a crisis loan to go and watch the football. Better phone the Provi woman. The Provi woman's still on the go. Like Robin, I think I'll pass. They can't honestly sell that out. I knocked my son's piggy bank off the wall this morning and said, "Oh no, what will I do now?" He said, "Dad, buy Sevco." Oh Jesus! So I wonder if they take gingers, the old ginger bottles. That's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, I'm all for. And do you know the worrying thing about this pre-season is there's only two games, 2 fixtures for pre-season, and we're only a month away. And if Celtic's going to do a tour anywhere, and you know the way that Paul the Tim and loads of other folk like to follow Celtic in the summer. I see that Paul put up his montage of pictures from every ground that he put on Facebook this morning. He puts his montage of pictures up of another season following Celtic. But when it comes into this summer, we're 43 days away from the next game, which is Cork City, which is unbelievable. And then when you've got Newcastle United on the 10th of July, the 19th of July, and that's £25 for an adult. 17 for concessions, and £12 for under 13s. What happened to the good old day that Celtic used to give you a pre-season friendly on your season ticket and the first qualifier for Europe back in the good old days? Back in the good old days where Celtic give you something for nothing as a reward for being a loyal season ticket holder for all these years. Now the club doesn't give you anything. I mean, the game against Newcastle, the 19th of July, there's going to be 7,500 Newcastle fans there. It won't be a full stadium for Celtic because it's right in the middle of holiday time, isn't it? The 19th of July. I mean, is that not the Glasgow Fair fortnight week? So lots of people will be on holiday. Last 2 weeks of July, yep. Lots of people will be on holiday, and it won't be a full house. Not a chance. People aren't going to pay an extra £25 to go and see a friendly during the summer when it's at Celtic Park. But the worrying thing is there's not any more games. So anyway, the fake over talks are getting quieter by the day. 1st of August we'll still be waiting on Kyogo replacement because that's the way that the Celtic board work. Says green for go. Oh, don't can't say anything like that. Playing Newcastle should be fun with the amount of them they're bringing. Yeah, Paul Bear, that will be fun. Consider Newcastle, most of the Newcastle fans hate Celtic, so yeah, I wouldn't be going to that. I prefer it when we have an away game in Europe for pre-season. The ones in Ajax a few years ago when we played them a couple of seasons in a row, they were fun. Remember the good old days when we had 2 friendlies at home on the season book? Yeah. Celtic are building the cash for the stadium bars. Not saying I agree with them, but changing the stash for charging cash for a friendly. They're building cash for the stadium. To do what to the stadium? Because Celtic have not got any plans to increase the capacity of the stadium anytime soon. It's not within the budget. It's not even getting spoke about in any manner as a means at Celtic. But don't get me started. I lose a lot of pals on my views on this. Oh Jesus. So anyway, that's your Celtic news today. The first deal of the summer looks to has been done already behind closed doors. Celtic obviously can't announce anything until they can, because they can actually, can't they? But they won't. Expanded. I'm not exactly sure when the transfer. I mean, it used to be the 1st of June that the transfer window opens, but some of them are saying it's not until Monday the 16th of June because of international football. And if that's the case, that's a joke. That's a joke. And then it runs right through to Monday the 1st of September. And by that time, Celtic will have already had their qualifier. Their qualifying game is late in August, so you can just see. It's not even going to be worth it. It just gives me the fear. Dane Murray will be another academy player. He'll be one that's included in the squad next season. When we look at the squad, I mean, there's Dane Murray. He's not even mentioned in the first team squad. He is mentioned in the B team squad. Celtic B team is Dane Murray, so he's probably one that's going to make the jump from B team to first team next season, so that'll be one to watch. Brendan Rodgers was going to give him some game time between when he had his injury and the end of last season keep what I call it this season, but the season's over with. It's last season now. So Dane Murray will be one that steps up from the B team. I'm not too sure if... I mean, young McCardle, he's another one that you would hope to step up. Jude Bonner is another one. So there is a few players. Francis Turley, he's Irish, so... yeah, I think that those could be the ones that will make the step up this year. Hopefully they make the step up into the first team, and they're not. Well, they can't be loaned out, because if they're going to be mentioned in the squad for shut that window. So yeah, they look like they will be the players that will get mentioned in the Champions League squad next year, which would be fantastic for them. Mitchell Frame, will he get the call up? I'm not too sure. But then there's got all the ones that are out on loan, and there is a whacking load of them, isn't there? Joe Morrison, the goalkeeper. He's to come back to the team. You've got, there's two goalkeepers that's to come back. Will they be released? Is young Toby, has he been good enough at Dunfermline? I thought that he'd be one goalkeeper that Celtic would look to keep, but with the bringing back of Ross Doohan, it looks like that young Toby will be a goalkeeper that's allowed to leave Celtic. So when you look at the players that are out on loan, there could be a massive load of them that are just offloaded by Celtic. And in fact, there's three goalkeepers. There's Josh Clark as well. He went to Ayr United. So we've got three young goalkeepers out on loan that have just came. Well, they're out on loan until the end of this week. So the players that will more than likely leave the club this summer: Stephen Welsh, Kwon, maybe Josh Clark, although he is Scottish, and wonder if Celtic will try and keep him. Lou Palmer, he'll go. Ben Summers, who's at Admiral Wacker, will he get to come back to Celtic? Will he be included in the first team, or will he be released? Gustav Lagerbielke, he'll be away. Young Matthew Anderson, he's at Admiral Wacker. Will he be released by Celtic, or will he be back up to one of our defenders? Adam Montgomery, another player that was on the verge of the Celtic team a couple of seasons ago, got some game time. He looked a cracking young player, but is he going to make the grade? Marco Tilio, he'll be going as well. Joe Morrison, the goalkeeper, don't know enough about him. I don't know when his contract's up. Odom, he's on loan until the end of the year. Lenny, who's at Ayr United, I think that he'll be... there could be... What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 13 players. Plus... So that's 13... there could be 15 players leave Celtic this summer. 15 players. 15 players. That's unbelievable. That says that it's going to be a bigger summer than what we thought, because you need to replace these players. If there's 15 players leave the club, you will need to replace them with some type of squad player to back up, because I think that if we release 15 players and we only bring in 6, I'm going to say it, but we're heading into next season on one of those periods of managed decline. Manage the wage, decline the wage bill, and trying to strive and keep on winning. And will that be enough to keep Brendan Rodgers? Will it be enough to get him to sign a new contract at Celtic? Oof, big one. Out of the 15, how many regulars? Not many, maybe 2 at most. Yeah, Lanky, I know, but it's still players that you would have at the club. Do you know, it's players that could potentially be backup. If you lose those 15, they're not at the club at the moment, but you still have to fill, the B team, there's already been 3 players left the B team. Daniel Cummins, I can't remember who else, but there was definitely 3 players leaving the B team, and that's not included in that 15. So that's going to be 15, 16, 17, 18 players leaving the football department from potentially the first team, which is massive. It's absolutely massive. And it doesn't help the first team whatsoever. So Scott Bane leaving, you bring in one player. Greg Taylor leaving, you bring in Kieran Tierney. If we keep Jeffrey Sloop, you could say that there's your defenders going into next season, which would be Alistair Johnson, and it hasn't really improved the squad. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Big Rocky, Mark Norowski, to see if he leaves the club. Austin Trusty, is he the answer? Liam Scales the answer? Rocky? Are those three really the answer going into the Champions League? Alistair Johnston's hit a level at Celtic and he's not getting better. He's not improving as a player. And for all the talk about how good he was at the World Cup and everything when he first came to Celtic out with Canada, he's a player that's the second half of the seasons went through the motions like a lot of other players. So when you look at the potential 8 players for the 4 positions at the back, you're going to have Alistair Johnson, Kieran Tierney, Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, Jeffrey Sloop, Mark Norowski, Cameron Carter-Vickers and Tony Ralston. That's not making us better, is it? I mean, they brought in Austin Trusty at $6 million, and if we go into pre-season and that is the players that we've got, I mean, it begs the question, is like how is that defence better going into Europe? I mean, we did okay in Europe, but can Austin Trusty improve? Can Liam Scales go to the next level and stop pulling shirts when he's in the box and outside the box? Can Jeffrey Sloop is Jeffrey Sloop the answer at 32-year-old? It would be a short-term contract for Jeffrey Sloop. It would be a minimum of a 2-year contract. So it's a short-termism. And to be fair, it gets Brendan Rodgers through his last year of his contract. Whatever happens after that, he might not be giving a shit. The midfield is where we're really short. Because, you could say that we're not, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. They include, for some unknown reason, they include James Forrest as Celtic include him as a midfielder, but he's used as a winger in the front 3. So you're short in the midfield. You've got Luke McCown, Arne Engels, Paulo Bernardo, Rio Hitati's gone, so you count him out. Paulo Bernardo, you've got Paulo Bernardo, Luke, Arne, Callum is your midfield. We're needing to bring in at least 2 midfield players this summer, which is unbelievable. We're going to have to bring, and this is just to make the team a bit better and have quality in it. Then when you look at the front 3, we've obviously got Jota, who's out, so we're going to have to bring a replacement in for Jota. Adam Ida is back up to either Dyson Mider or A.N. other. Johnny Kenny, big massive question mark over Johnny Kenny this summer, because do Celtic keep him to stay as a number 3 striker? Is there no one that could step up through the youth ranks that can take his place? He's a good player. He's not the finished article. He's had a little bit of experience in the lowest level of European football. But we still need to bring a striker in, because then that leaves us, so we need a striker and a winger just to get us back on an even keel to where we were at the beginning of last season. So then you're going to have Nico Kuhn, who just hasn't improved as a player. I don't think that he's going to turn into there was a hope that he could turn into something that James Forrest was years ago, and I don't think he's reached that. He had a fantastic first half of the season, started goal scoring, but the second half of the season he totally dropped off. Yang is not the answer. He's a backup player. He's not the answer going into the Champions League. I don't care what anybody says. For me, my personal opinion, Yang is not the answer for Celtic. So you've got Dyson Mider and then Johnny Kenny. The squad is threadbare. The squad is complete threadbare. It's probably the weakest squad going into a summer. Now, Brendan Rodgers will come out and say, well, as long as we're stronger going into this next season. The Buckled Furby says we're looking stale. Stale's not the word. We're looking short on numbers. That's the reality. We're looking completely short on numbers, which I think when you look at it, the board spent 40 million last year. The board are fine, says Barry Craig. 40 million, but are you telling me that squad is in a good place? Barry Craig, give me your answer in the comment section. Do you think that the squad's in a good place? Because we spent 40 million, that puts that squad in a good place. The squad that I've just mentioned. Yan could be the answer for his bird was on the bench. True, Brown Warrior says, with either, you'd be hoping he hits 20 to 35 goals second season. You would be looking for Adam Idah to score that many goals. But you're also looking for Adam Idah to give you more in a game. And he doesn't really do that. You never know with the whole getting in a pre-season. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the pre-season with Adam Idah now because he's been at the Celtic long enough. He's been at Celtic for a year and a half. So he knows the way that we play. Half of that 40 million went on 2 players. Rio was a big miss at the weekend. I don't know what to talk about the weekend. The weekend's done and dusted. It's in the past. That's last season. We're talking about going forward. Rodgers' transfer buys have been absolutely mince, says Green for Go. How much did the board bring in transfer money? 40 million. Yeah, we brought in more than that. If there's 70 million in the bank after the transfer window, then you could agree that you've underspent by 50 or 60 million. I still don't think that even though we spent 40 million, that squad is in a good place. Do you know? I don't think that at all. And I think that the squad is threadbare. The bench at the weekend showed you that it was threadbare. There's nobody. I mean that's your full team. That is your first team. There's nobody else that could come in. You know, there's nobody else that could come in and play. We're short on numbers. Brendan Rodgers wanted a smaller squad and he definitely got that. Brown Warrior said if there's 70 million in the bank and at the end of the transfer, there's going to be more than 70 million in the bank because we've just had the money from there was 70 million in the bank last October and we've just had the Champions League money coming in and then we've now got season ticket money coming in. Celtic they've not released, but they've put another strip on sale. So think about it. Last season, Celtic released 4 strips in a calendar season. Celtic released 4 strips in a calendar season. That to me says that they were struggling on sales, and they brought early the next season's strip out early because they were trying to hit numbers for Adidas. That's what it says to me. There's going to be 115 to 120 million sitting in the bank come next year. Yeah. Idah will have to up his game. Not enough movement, says Kevin King, like Kyogo. We're going to bring in another striker. I mean, there's Brendan Rodgers will not go into next season with just Adam Idah and Johnny Kenny as your front 2 recognised strikers. I mean, it's all good bringing Dyson Maeda in from the wing if he's still at Celtic. But I think that he will leave Celtic this summer. It's going to be a hard one. So then that's another one. I mean, that's another 2 players. So there could be 18 players. 18 players leave Celtic this summer. That's unheard of. 18 players leaving the club's unheard of at one go. Maybe that's why Brendan Rodgers said a few months ago that it's the end of an era. No says that Adidas is pulling the strings on strip. Yeah, Joseph Davison, they will be. They'll have targets for Celtic to meet when it comes to. Celtic will have financial obligations to meet with the deal with Adidas to keep them happy. Last 2 seasons ago, we brought in 32 million in sales from merchandise with Adidas through the various outlets, obviously JD Sports and Celtic themselves. So and Adidas. I mean, I've seen Celtic tops in Adidas shops here in Spain, so it's going to be interesting to see what the money that was brought in from the season that's just passed. Locked into a 10-year deal with Adidas. I don't think so, Kaiser. I don't think so. Bane has been told to go. Hopefully Scales and Adam either next, says AJ1888. That's terrible on Scalesy and Adam Ida. Come on. That's a bit harsh. They're squad players at best. We need them for the numbers. We can't get rid of Scales and Adam Ida. But then we'd need to bring in another defender and another striker. And there's no chance that Celtic are going to bring in 2 strikers this summer. Not a chance. Lanky Will says never had a chance because poor or wrong service to him. What's Lanky saying? Adam Ida didn't get the same service as Kyogo or Maida got. This is exactly true. Lanky, you mentioned that during the season at one point. You mentioned that it was a good couple of months ago. You said that watch when Adam Ida comes on, the strikers, the wingers will make crosses into the box for Kyogo to hit onto, and then it kind of dried up when Adam Ida came on. And you're right. He never got the same kind of service. Next season we need a winger that puts crosses into the box for Adam Ida to score, especially with his head, and rather than trying to walk. Yes, there's a thing. We need wingers that can. But either way, when we get wingers in at the club, other teams are going to double up on them. So we need more than just a change of wingers. We need players that stick to the game plan. That's my big takeaway from, especially what happened at the cup final. When we look at the game back up in Aberdeen towards the end of the season, and the way that the B team played, and we annihilated Aberdeen. Aberdeen played the exact same way in the cup final. But the players that didn't play up in Aberdeen then came on and played the final game of the season against St Mirren at Celtic Park. And they were woeful. The final game of the season at Celtic Park was woeful. Terrible game. And the same players then started the cup final. And Brendan Rodgers got the exact same outcome. A woeful performance. Lanky mentioned that in December. Yeah, I knew it was a while back. Couldn't remember. That's new St Patrick's Day Range Rover the past couple of years. Yeah. Mark says he 100% agrees with Lanky. Set pieces need worked on for sure. Yeah, they do that. Someone needs to talk to Brendan and tell him to bring in a set piece coach. We had this conversation. It's Gavin Strachan. Are there likely conditions on the Adidas contract? And I think that there'll be targets to hit 30 million a year with Adidas. Hence the reason that if sales aren't going too well, they bring forward a lot. Because remember, there was rumours about the strip for this season that Celtic didn't release until during the summer, and the pictures got all their pictures taken. Adidas have released this one early before the end of the season, which says to me, from a financial point of view, that sales must not be as good as what they predicted. So Adidas would go, right, well, we'll release this strip now towards the end of the season to get the sales bumped up a bit, so that it manufactures the numbers so that it looks better. And then we'll release even more merchandise at the start of the season. It's the way it is with Adidas, isn't it? The games you think we will dominate if it goes the opposite way. Celtic mugged themselves on Saturday. Yeah, they did that. Maybe the Strachan didn't give them password for the laptop. Yeah, they didn't, did they? I'd love to see Bruni as number 2. Kennedy at Ayr, as I said before, that's not going to happen. Francis Toland says that the board are running the club at 60% efficiency due to home success. We need to be running at 100. Maybe this is the wake-up call. Maybe this is the wake-up call that the board needed. Sometimes you've got to get beat. You've got to take a couple of steps backwards to go forward. I'm sure that Dermot and Brendan will sit down. Now remember, in December just passed, there was a secret meeting. It wasn't so secret because everyone knew about it. Brendan Rodgers and the hierarchy at Celtic went over to Dublin to meet Dermot Desmond. And it was to talk about all the transfers that were needed. There seems to be a disparity between what's said in front of Dermot Desmond and what happens when they get back to Celtic Park. And I still think that there's no love lost between Brendan Rodgers and Peter Lawwell. You got to remember, Nicholson's Lawwell's number 2. So anyway, that's us. We've been on 40 minutes. That would wait. Bring Ange back. Not a chance. Not a chance. The board are Tories. They learn nothing. Yeah. There was an orange watch, Lanky, nothing much else. What? Anyway, the breaking news today is that Celtic have agreed terms with Ross Doohan to come back to Celtic. The 27-year-old has been Aberdeen number 2 for the last season. He watched from the bench as the Aberdeen beat Celtic on penalties to win the Scottish Cup. He also made 18 appearances for Aberdeen last season, whilst their keeper was absent due to injury. He will replace third choice goalkeeper Scott Bane, who has been told he can leave Celtic after 7 years. 7 years. 7 years with the club, Scott Bane. He's been told that he could leave Celtic. Will he go to Dunfermline Athletic to sign for Neil Lennon, or will Bruni pull a master stroke and will Bruni get him to Ayr United and get them up into the Premier League? That'll be an interesting one to watch this summer. So anyway, Ross Doohan is the first. He's not officially signed as yet, but it's all done and dusted behind. It's just a case of Celtic, whenever you feel like it, just put the details out and tell us, give us something to cheer about, because winning the double is not good enough. Anyway, that's been done and dusted for this afternoon. There will be no live tonight at 8 o'clock tonight. I'm going to take a week or so off from lives at 8 o'clock. So there'll more likely be videos twice a day during the day, during business hours. Make it a bit more respectable. And then that way I could sit and talk to the missus at night. Well, she sits and watches telly and I'll sit in the garden. Anyway, there's a decent bench where Bane is sat. There's a decent bench where Bane is sat. Jesus. Schmeichel isn't Celtic class either. Oh, controversial comment from Graham S. right at the end of the video. I'll leave that there for you all to contemplate. Anyway, deal done. Terms agreed. Ross Doohan back to Celtic. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day. And if you haven't subscribed, we're at 21,852. Trying to get to 22,000.